Pehla Nasha was so different or one of its kind because the other day I met Udit Narayanji and he told me, he says, you know what, this song is a love anthem. I always felt that I have to do my work. Whatever work I get and I commit to, I have to do that and I have to move on. I'm very fond of Salman because he's a great human being. I remember I was just mentioning the other day to somebody that outside my office, and I used to get scared, after a while that he's stalking me or what, and he would just look at me, but he did nothing. He just looked at me from far away and just smiled like that, and I would smile back. I think I have still not done anything. I think that I still have to do a lot more.
Hi, and joining us on a very special flashback, we have the beautiful Ayesha Jhulka.
Hi.
And it's lovely to see you back on OTT, your debut.
Thank you.
So how has that experience been like, firstly?
I've been very lucky to get a platform like Amazon. This has been an original Amazon series. So along with Prime Video, we have Abundancia, and then to top it all, we have Tanuja Chandra. So I think this is the best debut that I could have asked for.
Yeah, and of course we also have the beautiful Juhi Chawla, and you all were considered competitors back then in the 90s.
Really?
So, yeah.
I
So
don't
it's
think
amazing
so.
to see you all together on screen as well.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be working with her and Soha and Shahana and Kritika and also Karishma. So it's been a pleasure to have such a lovely team, and I think the whole chemistry between us was just awesome.
And when you started out, from what we know, your debut was something you started as a teenager, and that was not really your plan, it just happened to you. So if you'd like to take us back to that story.
It was so sudden, the whole thing that happened back then, and I was very lucky that I didn't have to really struggle, which people say, and it was it just came and fell into my kitty, my first film, Kurban. And I think I would give a lot of credit to two people for that. One is Gautam Rajadhyaksh and Pandri Dada, the makeup, I would say the stalwart of makeup, and they were very instrumental in pushing my pictures and wanting me to get into films. So that was something that I will never forget.
And your first film was with Salman Khan, as we know. So what was that experience also like? Because both of you all were, they're just starting out. And of course, he had a few hits by then. It was your debut.
It was just wonderful. I really think that I'm very fond of Salman because he's a great human being. I remember back then, whenever we used to finish the shoot and we were going back home, I would see him packing the food that was balanced. And he would make an effort to see a beggar, even if it was late at night, sleeping on the road, and then waking the beggar up, or somebody who was really needy of food and actually making an effort, stepping out of his car and giving that food. So I think he's a lovely human being. Of course, no doubt, a brilliant actor.
Then came Khiladi as well, one of those cult films that, people that back then didn't really expect to be as big a hit, but it was massive, and still today the songs are being played on TV. So any memories of that shoot and Akshay Kumar, and your chemistry was appreciated also?
I think I did that film in complete masti. The whole film, because everybody on the set, all of us, Deepak Tijori and Akshay and me, Thomas Xavier, the DOP, we all were like really always looking for masti. And so it used to start off from one of us, and then everybody would get into it. And I'm sure my directors, Abbas Mustan, had a tough time with us because we were only into a lot of masti. And I think that film was so beautifully designed on paper by the directors and the editors that they knew exactly what they're doing. And which left us with barely any work. Only, we had to follow instructions. So it was great. It was a great experience.
And you've had some memorable songs. Of course, we can't not talk about Pehla Nasha, which was again wonderful and ahead of its time actually, and it's still considered one of the iconic romantic songs. So that shoot, again, it was very different from the normal romantic songs of that time.
Pehla Nasha was so different or one of its kind because not only because the song is so melodious and just any time and age you can hear it. I mean, people call it love anthem. The other day I met Udit Narayanji and he told me, he says, you know what, this song is a love anthem. I said, oh wow, that sounds good. Yeah, the high speed, we had picturized this song in high speed, and I think that was the first song in our industry that was done
Wow, okay.
in the films the first time. So Farah Khan, lovely, beautiful way of picturizing the song. Mansoor's clarity of how he wanted it, and everything fit into place. I'm really lucky to have these kind of songs with me.
So when did you finally realize this is your calling and this is what you're meant to do?
I always realized it. It's not that it was some dawning that happened. I always realized it. I always knew it. But sometimes in life you want something and you get something. And then you have to take a call whether you want something which you're getting but is not what you want, or you want to wait for something to come your way. And that is risky, to wait. So I took that risk. And probably I manifested it strongly. So it came my way.
Also back then, we know there were not many women on set actually. So, from what we hear, there was just a hairdresser and maybe the actress's mom with her. So what were those times like? It's pretty fascinating to think of today.
Now that you are mentioning it and people say it, I wonder how it was. But back then, that's all we had. So we were very used to it. For us, it didn't seem that, oh, I'm the only woman on the set along with my mom or my hairdresser. So we're just three of us. A lot of times my dad would go with me. So it was just two of us, me and my hairdresser. But back then, I don't think that ever struck me. Now when I see so many women, on the set where it's not only in front of the camera but also behind the camera. That's when I wonder that, wow, what woman power, and it just feels good. I may sound a feminist, but I just feel good.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And also, you all had some crazy shifts because you all were shooting for multiple films together. That's quite commendable, actually. Now that we think of it, because today, obviously, you have time for prep, and back then it was pretty crazy. So, how did you manage that?
Yeah, like again, the same thing. I think we just knew that. So when you only know one kind of stuff, you don't compare it to anything else. Now that we know this side of it, we can compare it to that. But at that time, I think we were conditioned in that way, and it didn't seem so tough. Now, if you say that if I have to do 4-5 shifts and run from here to there, I may not be able to do it.
Yeah.
But back then it was comfort for us.
Yeah. And you were also one of those actresses who are very clear about what you will do and what you want, like what you are comfortable with, which is also amazing. Right from, not wearing a bikini to, of course, when there was a film, Dalaal, which, some scenes were shot without your consent, you stood up for it and took a stand, which is also wonderful. So, where did you get that strength from?
Back then it was not considered wonderful. So that also is something. Back then it was, I was at a risk of being boycotted, or I was at a risk of being controversial, or I was at a risk of troubling producers. I could have got all those tags. I was lucky I didn't. But, see, there's nothing wrong in wearing anything that you feel you're comfortable in, your body is comfortable in. For me, I was not comfortable, I am not comfortable. So that was not exactly a stand, but it was absolutely, I never troubled anybody for it, that I had said, okay, I will do it, and then I didn't do it. It was very clear in the beginning that these are the things I'm really not comfortable in. And if I'm not comfortable in anything, my performance will be affected. And, I'll be conscious all the time about what am I wearing, and, I'm just not feeling good or whatever. Everything to do with comfort. Standing up for myself, that's who I am. For me, I feel that certain things, for me, black and white is very clear. Of course, every human being has those gray shades, but I have the courage to speak the truth because I believe that I'm a very honest person. I believe that I do not like to manipulate or mince my words. I do not like to cheat anybody. Likewise, I don't feel very good when I'm cheated or I am used, in any way. So that's a strength which is there within me. I am a little impulsive. So, when you're younger, you are a bit more of everything. So, of course, you calm down and you see the experiences of life, you understand life in a different way, and that's when you realize that, things can be handled in a smarter way. But then, it's always reciprocal.
So today, do you feel things are obviously much better because, with bound contracts and the risk of such things happening obviously is much lesser?
Yeah. I don't think I've heard of anything. I think the professionalism that has come in, so many corporates and so many other, younger generation of producers, directors, and even actors. I think there is a lot of comfort on the set, and it's you don't have to really think outside your character or the work that you're doing. So I think that is a very welcome change. And I haven't done so much work yet. But yes, in due course of time, if I will work more, surely the difference will be very evident. But from whatever I have understood, that it's become a much more comfortable environment. Though I loved those times too, because that's where I came from and that's where I actually belonged. So I can never thank God enough for that.
And today, in the times of social media, there is the risk of overexposure for actors. And back then, it was quite a craze to spot an actor somewhere. And so, what are those experiences like?
Yeah, I mean, back then, I think if you had to see an actor or have any kind of interaction or any kind of visual experience, you either had to go to the theaters to watch their movies or, spot them at an event or any kind of launch or party or anything like that. Yeah, with social media, things are absolutely at ease for so many actors and also for the viewers. Always there's a flip side to everything, So I'm very new to social media right now, and so I really don't know how it functions and how it works. But yes, in due course of time, I'll also learn how it is.
But have you had any of those crazy fan experiences, like trying to meet you and
Lots. In fact, I remember I was just mentioning the other day to somebody that I used to, outside my office, and I would see one guy always there. And I used to get scared, after a while that he's stalking me or what. And he would just look at me and smile and wave out. But he would just stand there, So it was eerie after a while, and you would feel scared. But he did nothing. He just looked at me from far away and just smiled like that. And I would smile back. So a lot of times, and this happened for months together. One day, my security guard from my building came up, rang the bell, and he said somebody has left an envelope. So I opened it, and so there was a letter written in blood.
Oh my God.
That I am a crazy fan of yours, and I'd like to meet you. Can you just come out of the window and peep? And so, yes, I think, and a lot of other things, but these are things that they are scary, and but just see the kind of fans back then, and I went on an outdoor, and I was in my room at night after the shoot, and then we hear somebody knocking at the window, the ventilation window in the bathroom, and you could see somebody's silhouette there. And then then the reception saying, oh no, there's some fan of yours. I said, but yeah, this is no way, you know. So basically, people actually would go crazy. And if this could happen with me, I don't know what would happen with, you know, even bigger stars and such big people.
And you've also had some unconventional choices like Socha Na Tha. So maybe it didn't get the numbers back then, but today people still consider it as a cult film.
Of course.
So do you remember that, shooting for that? How was
Of
that
course.
experience like?
Socha Na Tha just came like that, you know. Imtiaz came to my office and he narrated the story and my role, and I just thought it was very cute, you know, very nice. And I just loved Imtiaz as a person, and I just felt that he's so, again, so clear with what he wants. And we shot in Delhi and, you know, other places, and it was just wonderful. I mean, and when I saw myself, and I just felt so good. It was different, and it was lovely with Abhay and Ayesha.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that was one film I really liked.
And also you have mentioned that some of your films didn't even get a release, which is, you know, after you put in all the effort and that happens. So how did you take that?
Look, I always felt that I have to do my work. Whatever work I get and I commit to, I have to do that and I have to move on. Some of the films that didn't release or didn't get completed, you feel bad for some of them because you feel that, oh, this would have been good if, you know, it would have released. But back then there were so many other problems, you know. There were producers, directors, and then the backstory we didn't ever know.
Yeah.
And the distributors and so on. So, but you know, that thought would just come and I would say, oh, that's sad. Move on. You really can't do anything.
And despite all your films, like, is there any role that you're still keen on, you know, you wish that it comes your way?
I think I have still not done anything. I think that I still have to do a lot more, and I'm looking for great roles coming my way, which are absolutely only performance oriented, because I feel that Tanuja has really spoilt me on this one, and she has actually made me realize that I have more potential than I think I have. And so now I'm a little greedy, and I feel that I should do something really nice and something which people will appreciate me for my work, and something that I can actually make a difference to that project with my character. So if that happens, that will really give me a lot of fulfillment.
We hope to see more of you on screen, much more.
I hope so too.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.